Well, ladies and gentlemen, we do have big updates in regards to the 2024 election. We have Kamala Harris visiting the border, but it was mainly just a photo op. It was a total disaster. Holy smokes, the Border Patrol Council VP revealed that Kamala was only at the border for 20 minutes, and the individuals she met with were members of management, not agents. It's nothing but a complete photo op. Her Hail Mary before the election. And yes, so she must be doing absolutely horrible in terms of the border and in the immigration issue to even do this, because this is just embarrassing. And she gives a speech, and it's a total charade. It's like complete gaslighting, where she's like, "Oh yeah, we got to secure the border." Well, what's happened the last 3.5 years? It's completely absurd, and it just looks so pathetic. But I'm guessing they're down by so much in terms of immigration that her being there might help just a little bit. It's not going to hurt her because they're losing immigration by so much. So her people wanted her to do this, and it just comes off looking completely disingenuous. And of course, the liberal policy and the liberal, idea with her is, oh, she's this badass prosecutor. She prosecuted transnational criminals and all this stuff. When in reality, the past 3.5 years, her viewpoint, Biden's viewpoint, the Democratic establishment viewpoint back in 2021 was that Trump was far too strict on immigration and that they were not going to complete the wall. They ended up, selling off the materials, melting them down and selling off the raw materials that were going to be used to finish the wall. And you had states like Arizona try and put up these makeshift walls that were just trailers stacked on top of each other. The Biden administration told them they had to take down. And now you've got a record number of illegal immigrants. Remember, back in 2020, during that election cycle, illegal immigration was not a big topic because Trump had solved it. The only really thing that Trump could have argued was that, well, the illegal immigration is going to get really bad if liberals get into office, which is not a great argument because people can't really see the future like that, and they would just be saying, well, he's just going to say that. But of course, that's exactly what happened. Illegal immigration got horrible. There's a huge incentive to importing these illegals into the country, giving them amnesty, getting them legal, and turning states. And that's part of the reason why they've been able to win the popular vote by as much as they have. That's not, see, the thing is, this is one of the best cons that liberals have done. They're like, well, a bunch of young people are all going to be liberals, so by default, the country is going to get more liberal as older people die off. Well, no, that's not happening at all. We're seeing 65 and older go for Kamala Harris by like 5 or 6%. What's really happening is they keep importing these immigrants, and when they get legal, they vote Democrat at like a 70% rate. So that's why Republicans, it's so hard for them to win the popular vote. They're not losing Americans. They're losing immigrants that are coming into this country, becoming citizens and voting. So, and they want to keep that going. Obviously, they want to keep that gravy train. Now, the dynamic behind doing this and trying to be like, oh, we're going to stop the flow is because they have to appeal to Rust Belt white people. This is the only time every 4 years they have to do this. Other than that, they'll be completely fine with letting illegals in. And so Harris is like, we're going to stop all this immigration. It's totally disingenuous. Where was this energy in 2021, 2022, and 2023 when this was actually happening? It was nowhere. It's funny how that works, right? Because they get the 15 to 20 million illegals in the country. And by the way, this should be a disqualifier when it comes to the border anyways. She wants to give them all amnesty. So how are you actually stopping illegal immigration when under your administration there's already 15 million illegals in the country and you're not deporting any of them? So how are you a badass on the border? You're not deporting any of the illegals that already came in. Isn't that the whole idea of it? You've let the 15 million illegals in. That's your and Biden's screw up. She's not even saying she'll correct it. She's just saying we're going to stop the new ones from coming in and we're going to be tougher on the border because she has to, because she's losing the immigration topic by 30 points. And they're trying to do a little token thing there. We've also got Bill Maher. This is correct. Talking about the U.S. Constitution and Gen Z kids. Quote, they, the founding fathers, were the Gen Z of their day. They were very young. And when they were your age, they started a country. What the fuck have you done? History is complicated and Gen Z reasoning is not. They think they're pure, but they're just simplistic. Well, I mean, obviously Gen Z, with how young they are, they're going to be pure because their generation has really not gotten into the workforce completely. So yeah, they're pure, all right. Yeah, we'll see what happens in 20, 30 years. They know two things. White people did some very bad things, and oh, that's it. That's all they know. Absolutely correct. They hate the founding fathers. The founding fathers, they're a symbol of white greatness, and they just hate it, and they hate that all white men founded the country, and that's why they think the founding fathers are horrible and racist, and they want a lot of their statues to come down. So Bill Maher is right, and Gen Z, that's a very, very bad generation, the young kids, and, they're like 15 years old. We've got Tulsi Gabbard, shameless, no other way to describe Kamala Harris's photo op at the southern border, promising to secure it and allowing 10 million illegals. By the way, that's a low estimate. It's about 15 to 20. Trump says it's like 21 or something. It's a lot more than 10 million. They've been saying the 10 million number now for over a year. And maybe the slow has come down a little bit, but I'm 99% sure there's well over 10 million illegals in the past 3.5 years as border czar. A shameless person feels no shame. Yeah, it's just like, why, obviously the dynamic of that was she was losing the immigration topic by so much. Her just being there might help. It certainly can't hurt because she was already getting crushed in immigration. So they were probably like, well, you're losing immigration by 30 points. Just go there. It can't hurt. Maybe it'll help you a few points. Say you're a badass. Say you're going to prosecute illegals. You have to do that because that's what this electorate feels. And so I think that's really what that was. But it was pretty pathetic. One of the most darkly hilarious things I've seen in politics is how Democrats and media liberals constantly run with warning that if Trump wins, he'll weaponize the justice system by prosecuting his political enemies. And they do it with zero sense of irony or self-awareness. I mean, remember what Chuck Schumer said? I mean, Chuck Schumer threatened Trump and then it happened, right? And not only that, like the whole thing with Trump, it'd be one thing because Trump certainly is not perfect. I mean, it'd be one thing if all of these charges were legitimate, but they like just to think about the Democrats threatening Trump, and then we see them elevate 34, the misdemeanor charges to felonies, which never happens. The statute of limitations, it's already up. It's over 5 years, and they still give him 34 felony charges after we already knew it was a political witch hunt, and they still do it. And it's like, and there are people who are like, oh, it's totally legitimate. It's totally real. It's just amazing. What is this? I didn't even see what this was.
We have a secure border.
As your president, I will secure our border.
Well, yeah. People don't realize that Canada is about to witness the first election in post-war Western liberal democracy in which young people vote in mass to the right of old people. And yeah, this is pretty crazy. Breakdown of 18 to 34-year-old, 47% going to that Conservative Party there in Canada. That is pretty remarkable. We've also got this, Alan Lichtman versus Nate Silver. I'm no Nate Silver fan, but people could do 5 minutes of research to understand that Lichtman has not only lost his damn mind, but also completely changed his keys to fit a narrative. And so, yeah, these two were sparring last night about his keys versus polls. And, Nate Silver now has Kamala Harris up with like a 60% chance to win. And Lichtman predicted Harris to win. Well, actually, let me just say this. First, Lichtman said if the Democrats get rid of Biden, they're guaranteed to lose. Now he's saying Harris is going to win. Because remember, Biden was so bad that the Democratic establishment, Obama, Pelosi, all of them knew he couldn't win, so they got him out. This guy was saying that Biden was going to win. So that's how bad his... But the thing is with the keys, this is the problem. The keys are not based on fact. Many of the keys are opinionated. They're not based on numbers you plug into a system and it spits out who's going to win. That's not how it works. Several of the keys are very opinionated. The guy's got a vendetta against Trump. He said several things about Trump to where he absolutely hates him. Then people say, well, he picked Trump to win in 2016. Yeah, that was before he hated him. I mean, now it's been 8 years later. The guy, I mean, you can just go back to clips and hear him. He has a vendetta against Trump, and most of his keys are opinionated. And so, Nate Silver called him out and said, you're not using the keys the same way you did in previous election cycles. And he's also changed the idea on, do the keys predict the popular vote? Do they predict the actual winner? I just think at this point he's a partisan hack. His keys are opinionated, and based on his bias against Trump, he is going to say that Harris is going to win pretty much no matter what. Remember, he said Biden was going to win, and that if they got rid of Biden, the Democrats would lose. Well, they got rid of Biden, and he still thinks the Democrats are going to win now. It's funny how that works, isn't it? Breaking news, CBS News claims its hosts will not fact-check vice president nominees Vance and Walz when they face off next week. So yeah, there's going to be no fact-checking, going to be a little bit of a different debate next week than the one that we saw between Trump and Harris. You've also got this, if Trump wins this is an interesting thing. If Trump wins one of these states, this is his chance of winning the entire election. And you can see Pennsylvania. If he wins Pennsylvania, he's got a 93% chance of winning the election. If he wins Michigan, because we would think Michigan, because of, it's a little bit more liberal, he would probably take Pennsylvania and the rest of the Rust Belt if he wins Michigan. But it really is Pennsylvania. You win Pennsylvania, you've got a better than 90% chance to win the election. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.